yes,
and a ruling on its own, on this matter,
yes,
then can the members of parliament, the people who the governors are complaining
yes,
against, then have the big man syndrome of going against what the Supreme Court says?
I think what we've been saying in this country is that we need to have faith in our systems. We need to respect court orders. And this is an issue that we have spoken severally, that let's not push to obey court orders when they are not in our favor. In that, if I have an order against you, I can be like, hey, observe the court order. But when it's against me, I don't want to observe the court order. What I think is that before the governors could have rushed to court, we would have given time for the mediation team between the Senate and the National Assembly. But it looks like there is no goodwill in terms of this division, revenue allocation between the two houses.
Goodwill from who?
Goodwill from the two houses. We've seen severally there is a lot of squabble between the Senate and the National Assembly. Even we have had instances where members of some members of the National Assembly are coming out and saying, hey, we need this Senate to be scrapped off. And the Senate guys are rejoining and saying, hey, Senate has brains. You guys are just a tyranny of numbers.
You are preempting the topic of discussion. I was seeking your thoughts in regards to the technicalities involved in this.
Let me give that. Yeah, he's jumped the gun as usual. You know, this is why I have always a problem with the Reverend. Now, this is for me. This is more of a political. Guys trying to lay a political ground for, supremacy the way you've intimated before. Remember that we have, intergovernmental committee in charge of this, and it's called Intergovernmental Budgetary and Something Council. The Deputy President is the chair, is the chair of that institution. For a long time, and I like what Areba has said, that this is not something that is just beginning this year. In 2013, you could remember very well, the good Senator Hassan Omar, who is no longer senator,
former Mombasa
senator, beckoned and said, you see, the same status that you are giving us, the same status you are giving to the members of National Assembly should not be given to us. Why? Because we are senators who are in charge of a county. As compared to members of parliament who are in charge of a constituency. Now, even the privileges that. So I think I'm just bringing you to know why we are into these battles. And this thing is much more than division of revenue bill. I see a battle of accumulation of a resource in the run-up for an upcoming election, which in an integrated balance should be a matter that should be put into perspective right now.
To be fair enough, we're away from an election. Areba, let me get your thoughts on this. More than just the supremacy battle between the two houses. Do you read politics into it?
A lot of politics. And that is why we're saying that for once, we're having governors demonstrating. I mean, I wish somebody could just lob a tear gas on them. Okay, that's a topic for another day.
One of my producers here was telling me a tough time to live there. And interesting as well.
And that is why you're seeing a lot of razzmatazz and a lot of public show and a lot of attention in that demonstration and walking to the Supreme Court. What would have been wrong if the governors would have just sent their lawyer to just lodge the application in the Supreme Court quietly? We go to court every day. Do we call you guys?
No.
So there's a lot of politics in this issue. And that is the kind of attention that the governors want.
The row between the two houses is hinged on three things. I'll briefly mention them. The passing of money bills,
yes,
very important to that. Approving of nominees for state appointments and summoning of state officers. Yes. Given that the row is this, as a lawyer, does the law stipulate on who does what on these three specific areas?
I mean, all these issues begin from Article 93, that is the establishment of Parliament and the roles. And then Article 95 is the role of the National Assembly, 96 is the role of the Senate. I would like us to probably read in verbatim the role of the Senate, which then says the Senate represents the counties and serves to protect the interest of the counties and their government. Then also the Senate participates in lawmaking function. So majorly, the role of the Senate is to protect devolution in a nutshell. The question we should ask ourselves then is, at what point in time any law that is lodged in either houses overlaps to the issue of protection of devolution? And there have been different interpretation. And that is why, to start with, in 2013, the Supreme Court said that the division of revenue allocation, this is where money is decided on which money goes to where. So it's a money bill in itself. And that distinction was made. Coming forward, A lot of politics have come in that even some CS was complaining the other day that these houses don't seem to work in harmony. You find that this committee has called you, the other committee has called you, and the other committee has called you. What is wrong and what is that unique that each committee has to call you in its separate ways?
I remember Education CS, Professor George Magoha, when he was being vetted,
yes,
telling members of parliament, I shouldn't be coming in front of you every day. You talked of the legality
yes.
of the laws passed in these
yes.
two houses.
Yes.
In April this year, the two houses were again at a loggerheads. The bond of contention being senators threatening to challenge 26 laws which were passed by the National Assembly.
Yes.
Can one house challenge laws passed by the other from a legal perspective?
The question is, should we get there? Yes, they can. But should they? No, they shouldn't. Because these are houses which are in the same compound. What is so wrong with the two speakers, each one walking to the other office and asking, hey, how can we handle this? I think there is a lot of public show and a lot of politics around these issues. As I said earlier, can they challenge? Yes, they can. Should they? No, they shouldn't.
Why shouldn't they?
Why they shouldn't is because
these are two independent houses.
These are two independent houses.
With very different, similarly alike in some closed functions.
Yes.
Why should they not challenge?
Why they should not challenge in court is because these are houses that are comprised of some members from one political party who have a similar agenda. Why can those parties just sit with their members and agree on the way forward?
Let me bring Dan into the conversation. Then is the uniting politics, the politics that brought these members together, failing?
Well, yeah, definitely it's failing, and this is why I'm saying, you see, when a party, for example, supports its members, we have a bicameral house. We have, you know. And another bone of contention you're supposed to be mentioned is the definition, which is the supreme one, and which is the minority, because each and every house claims to be supreme. One on the basis of the strength of the numbers, one on the basis of the constitution. So I think for me, going forward, it's a failure on the political parties and to submit their members to a strong follow-up of their manifesto. But again, the other thing, Bakar, I think lawyers sometimes confuses a lot in this country, because then
maybe have a chance to defend himself. Let him go ahead.
But if we, for example, have a bicameral house, I think the reason as to why governors have gone to court, and like he said, is to seek for interpretation. The understanding behind a move that the members of parliament has made. These, like you mentioned, this is a very, very important bill, upon which, if it's not really canvassed through and agreed on, even the budgets that are already passed within the county assemblies are null and void. And what does that mean? It means that there is no delivery of basic services within the counties. There is no delivery of maternal.
At the end of the day, you mean the scaffold between the houses trickled down to
the scaffold between the houses has trickled down, has affected the service delivery even within the counties. But again, I'm also looking at a trouble where the transition authority, there was a period of transition. The question goes back, was there a very strong coordination within intergovernmental authority to make sure there's a smooth transition, and basically so that there would not be a conflict between these two houses? So the other thing that I would like to propose, and it's been mentioned, even as we envision to go through a referendum, one of the questions that we would put
Which
forward,
referendum?
definitely, one of the questions that we would just want to put forward, Abubakar, this guy has talked so much, I think it's my ad. One of the questions we would like to put through a referendum is the fact that could we have reduced the number of, could we scrap out the Senate, could we scrap out the county assemblies, scrap out the women representatives, so that the issue about the wage bill and conflict within these two houses.
We'll come to the numbers, the representation, and the claims of over-representation a little bit later. Areba, the row between the two houses in somewhat, some quarters show a dispute in leadership. Are the two houses failing to offer leadership? If these are the leaders whom we elected?
I mean, he's saying that lawyers confuse us. As farmers, we have given you an opportunity to confuse us. Please proceed and confuse us. 93.2. If you read that, what Article 93.2 provides is that the National Assembly and the Senate shall perform their respective functions in accordance with this Constitution. So when there's a row, what does it tell us? They are not performing their functions according to the Constitution. Because if each house then will have read and interpreted the law and performed its roles as provided under the law, we wouldn't have any law. Back to your point, the issues now which I think governors demonstrating and money not being sent to counties is actually a sign that the leadership of both houses, which is controlled by one party, is failing. I mean, both parties, we know.
When you speak of the leadership of the houses, you are in particular referring to the speakers of the two houses.
on two ties. We have the speakers and the party leaders. And that is the majority leaders. I mean, we know the majority leader.
Oh, fair enough. The party leaders are, again, the leaders of the executive.
I think I confused that. The majority leaders in both houses who come from the same party. What is it wrong with them whipping their members and interpreting to them what the constitution provides? And to the two speakers who I know are friends and they call each other, they can WhatsApp each other. And even when one is in his office, he can always shout at the other one from the other office. Why can't they just sit down and resolve these issues? I mean, what is so hard until that we have other guys who have to rush to court? At least in 2013, we could have said that, oh, the devolution and the houses were still baby stepping.
The concept was new.
The concept was new. There was limitation. But now, how many years down the line, should we still have disputes? I fail to wonder why.
Shouldn't we encourage that if one house feels as though the other one is playing to the big man syndrome, belittling it, it should seek a legal redress?
As I said earlier, everybody has a right to go to court and seek an interpretation. But the issue is, should they? How many legal officers have been hired by both houses? How many opinions can they be generated from both houses? So sometimes I feel that we play more to the gallery than sitting down and resolving those issues. Yeah, I think it's just playing to the gallery.
Areba, if you are a senator today, a leader in any of the two houses, how would you solve such a conflict? You're a little bit being futuristic.
You mentioned Areba.
He's an MCA, but he also, when you talk about issues of an MCA, you can come back to him.
I think the issue right now is, like you've put it, we have a house leadership. And, you know, the composition of these, whether members of parliament or members for the Senate, they're coming from a specific party, and they have their whips and they have their, you know, leaders within those parties. One of the things I really need to advise is instead of, you know, party leaders like Aden Duale, you know, making pronouncements that are unpopular, you know, I think it's important for them to sit down with the leadership of the Senate and try to discuss their route. You see, the problem of supremacy battle in the house that legislates on how division should be, you know, allocated. Like we've said, it hurts the local, it hurts the citizen. But then, if I was within the leadership, even within the President Uhuru Kenyatta, would actually call the House to order, ask them, could you guys sit down and you know, resolve this row? Like I've said before, we are having structures of conflict resolution before it reaches to a point where it's taken through the courts, a corridor of justice, is to amicably discuss within the party leadership and party membership to avoid, you know, this mess that we are in. Like you said, it's interesting times for governors to demonstrate how I wish that it is important even for us citizens to join the governors in demonstration and to court, because then it looks more of a citizen-oriented. It looks more that citizens understand the pinch of, you know, the row that within and denial of money within that should be trickling within the counties. But again,
to a citizen who is watching us, to a common Monanchi who is watching us, you are selling the idea that we should join the governors in this protest. Why? Why should they be?
I think the issue right now is about the monies that touches on the basic necessities in the county. The money that touches hospitals, referral hospitals, health and water and sanitation. So I think this, when you touch, are in the innermost of our citizens who would feel that it's important to join governors to champion for the rights. But more, on the flip side, let's always think on the flip side, there must be accountability within the counties. And I would also like to join those who are calling the members of the governors to account for the resources that are given already. Why would you always whip people's emotion through a demonstration, but you're not accounting to how much you've used the resources that you've been allocated for different financial year? So I think it's also matters of accountability. It comes with the responsibility as well.
Let's put some context into the standoff that has seen the governors, of course, lodge an application at the Supreme Court today, and we have our reporter Samuel Jiwainaina will be joining us a little bit later, is that the senators had proposed a total of 327 billion county allocation in the 2019-2020 budget. But the Budget and Appropriation Committee of the National Assembly was advocating for 316 billion, of course, amount that is high by 9 billion shillings. Why should they first be given such a high money?
As Dana said, is that we are living in interesting times, in that you already have an avocado which you have left it to rot, and you're still saying, can I have another avocado? I mean, the one that you were given earlier, what have you done with it? You saw the Auditors General
The
report.
avocados in this context mean in the billions.
In the billions of avocados. I mean, you saw the Auditor General's report 2 days ago, in that 239 billion amount of money from the counties that cannot be, that you cannot say where it went to. I mean, that is a lot of money since the beginning of devolution. You walk into these villages, and some of the roads the governors are saying have constructed, there is nothing going on there. You go to some of these hospitals, there's nothing going on there. But they are quickly able to pick helicopters and come to Nairobi to demonstrate and rush to court.
Is it then a matter of just belittling and supremacy war, or it's a matter that touches on development as well?
We live in a country which is very interesting. After you are done with elections, in your victory speech, what you say, hey, guys, thanks for electing me. Remember, next time I'll be on the ballot. So right now, there's no any political activity that is going on. And anything little that comes up, it gives the players an opportunity to try and shine and be on the limelight. I've seen some governor in one of the photos I've seen here. I've never seen this governor doing anything, but I've seen him holding hands and demonstrating. I mean, he is able to be seen in Nairobi, but he can't be seen in the village. Whatever he has been given, can he account for before, first?
Well,
Daniel, your thoughts on that as the same?
Still reiterating what Areba said and what I said before. You know, when you ask for more, the other hand, really account for what you've received on the other hand. But again, here is the simple logic that, you know, we are having 47 governors who at the same time, you know, when you go down to their counties, they're actually county presidents.
Yes.
You need that supremacy, and they need all these kind of chase cars and you see in sirens and all over.
Through village corridors, and stepping on cows and chicken.
And you see...
Fair enough, there are those who have built roads.
No, it's fine. One of the things that we should do actually is, before we even call it, and sorry because I told the citizens to join, but then we are joining with understanding that this is all about county matters. This is all about Uasin Gishu and Siaya and Homa Bay. It's no longer about supremacy in 2022.
And my home county of Mandera.
And your home county of Mandera. So I think, but before, have we successfully transitioned according to what is scheduled in the fourth schedule? That is the question that I need on asking. The fourth schedule has a very long way, or long list of what independently the county was allocated to do. But then would we, in retrospect, ask the Auditor General to account and give us the accountability of what is in those counties before we even ask for these governors to receive more? And also, remember, why the politics is coming here is simply because some governors have exhausted their second term.
They don't know what to do with
themselves. They don't know what to do with themselves. So what would they do is to make themselves relevant in activities like this. What would we ask? We were the champion of, you know, devolution when the county budget was cut. And therefore, we moved to Supreme Court to do this. There's a lot of mileage that is there. In context with what you've said, the role of the senators is county, county, and county.
Yes.
It doesn't mean anything. So if they are within that champion, let them be joined by another forum, County Assemblies Forum.
Yeah.
We should hear the County Assemblies Forum insofar as this matter is concerned.
More than just the governors.
More than just the governors and the counties and you know, and the senators. Where is this body?
Areba, what kind of a picture then does this give of the country's topmost political leadership?
These things...
Understanding, as Daniel alluded to, the governors are the presidents of these counties.
It paints a very bad image of a hopeless country, a country that cannot agree on the basics, a country that when we have very few challenges, then we have to resort to people's power and then rush to court later on. I feel that, and as I said earlier on, is that the country's leadership, the president, the deputy president, all these executive guys, they need to be whipped. They need to realize that, hey, you are here to serve the people. What are these governors doing in Nairobi today? You'll find like 26 governors going to court. None even will speak. Why wouldn't they just send their lawyer to court and handle these issues? So this is a very bad image on the country and its leadership.
Areba, hold on that thought. I understand we need to take a short break here on New Week. We'll be back with this discussion and other, of course, stories after this break.
Twende sasa.
Nipe countdown. 2, 1.
Nakuletea matangazo moja kwa moja kutoka kongamano la 6 la ugatuzi hapa Kirinyaga County.
Hapa ni mjini Meru.
Tupo katika eneo la Wetevye, kaunti ya Kiambu.
Hivi leo tuko Nairobi Cinema.
Hapa ni Kina, ukipenda Kinango.
Usiwache hiyo timu ipotee.
Kama huyu amekataa, tafuta mwingine, maisha isonge mbele.
Mabadiliko haya yangali yanazua msuke baina ya washikadau.
Baadhi ya changamoto hizo zilikuwa ni kama vile ukosefu wa maarifa.
Wameweza kupeperusha bendera ya Kenya.
Tutaingia kwenye mapumziko kidogo.
Chavi!
Na hii, mpenzi mtazamaji, ndio
TV47,
Macho na sauti yetu.
Ni miaka 30 sasa tangu ajali Mpokonye Macho.
Kwa hivyo kutoka hapo sikujisikia tena. Mimi basi niliambiwa nyumaye. Hapo hata nilikuwa natolewa na shoka sababu hii mguu mmoja ilikuwa imekwama.
Ila mkewe akawa macho yake.
Kisa chake kilinisababishia machozi.
Sijasikia wengi wao wananiambia mambo mbaya vile, lakini wananiambia wanakuwa na huzuni.
Nilikuwa naelezewa na daktari hapo ndio macho ilipotelea, sababu nilitolewa mpaka hizi globes za macho.
Mke mwenye utu na hisani.
Iwapo ipo siku bwana huyu angehitaji jicho, ningekuwa tayari kumpa langu moja. Hayo ndiyo maneno niliyoyatumia kwanza.
Hii ni Dunia ya Pili, juzuu ya kipendacho moyo. Nami ni Wabugo Yusuf.
Wiki hii katika kipindi cha Twende Shambani tunaangazia uzalishaji wa uyoga. Wapo wanaosema ni kama mboga, wengine wanasema ni kama vile nyama. Lakini je, inazalishwa vipi na kwa nia ipi? Tuyapate majibu shambani mwa Bwana Anthony Jumanne hii. Usikose.
Wait! Guys!
Nilipoamka baada ya the following day nikajisikia niko kwa ward. Ndio huyo daktari Owinga akakuja. Nikamwambia mimi nataka uniambie what happened to my legs.
Huyo Owinga kuna time ilifika akaanza kutumia mam pesa.
Kumbe saa hizo nimelala, kumbe hiyo unyevu ya matre ya kuwet hiyo kitanda, kumbe shimo ilikuwa imetombolewa hapa nyuma.
Ati hata tukisema tuende mbele na hii kesi ya mam, akona pesa na akona lawyers.
Ndio watoto wangu walipokuja nikauliza APDK ni nini? Ndio wakaenda wakagoogle, wakaniambia APDK ni kwa walemavu. Nikawaulizaje, mnataka kuniambia mimi sasa mimi ni mlemavu natumwa kwa APDK?
Wiki hii kwenye TV47 mtaani.
Tunavyosonga dunia ndio inazidi kuharibika. Na mahali tunaelekea mimi na watu dunia inaisha kuisha.
Mitindo na hiyo digital imekuja sasa.
Kwa sababu mambo imeharibiwa na hii kunywa pombe.
Uchumi ni mbaya, so inabidi kila mtu ahaso. Sawa, wazazi hawana time na watoto.
Wajana ni wengi kama maisha kama huyu amekataa, tafuta mwingine maisha isonge mbele.
Ungana nami Tony Mwirigi kila siku ya Jumatatu hapa TV47, macho na sauti yetu.
Shirika la mpango wa chakula duniani World Food Program linawapa mafunzo maafisa wa serikali kupitia mawakala nchini Misri kutumia teknolojia ya drone katika kufanikisha majukumu yao na miradi ya maendeleo katika nchi hiyo.
Ethiopia tuna misimu miwili ya mvua, Belj na Meher. Hapo zamani za kale wazee wetu walikuwa na
Bila shaka mtaka cha mvunguni shati ainame. Hivi ndivyo mambo yalivyo katika kuanza na kuboresha biashara. Kipindi cha biashara za familia kitaangazia biashara zilizofua dafu na zinamilikiwa na familia.
Working with the family. Kufanya kazi na familia si rahisi. Manake wakati mwingine wanakufinya na pia wana matarajio mengi. They expect much from you.
Ungana nami Vanessa Ndavi ndani ya TV47, tutalii bahari hii pamoja.
Welcome back to New Week. Remember, you can be part of this conversation. Join us on our social media platforms that will shortly scroll on your screens. Remember, the topic of discussion has been the tiff between the two houses. And in our studios, we have Daniel Orogo, who is a political analyst, Areba Omweo, an analyst as well, but a lawyer by profession. Gentlemen, many thanks for, of course, being patient with us. Let's get to the over-representation cases. Kenya has, in conclusion, 384 MPs, 900 MCAs. India, 1 billion people, has 548 members of representatives. Talk of California, the state of California, 1 governor, 15 million. The economy of that is 14 times the GDP of all African countries combined. Do we really need this much number?
We're in a country where everybody wants to be a leader. When you walk around, everybody's calling you chairman. I mean, nowadays, everybody on Facebook is honorable so and so. We have this obsession, even with young people, that they can only make it by being in leadership positions. And even if you look at even some of the conversation that are ongoing currently on constitutional changes, what are they geared to? Expanding the executive, accommodating some people. That is the
adding more than the numbers we already have now.
More than the numbers.
Is it really necessary? That was the question I asked.
It's not. It's not. It's not.
Why is it not necessary for purposes of inclusivity? If our tribes are as many as 40 plus, why not have at least everyone in the national cake?
Let me just school you a bit, Abubakar, on the reason why we have representation. As a group of people, the three of us, if we decide that we want to have somebody who can champion for our rights, then we can have an election process and agree we are going to elect him. He goes then presents our manifesto and our wishes to a particular place. If we feel that then he is not able to ably represent that, we recall him and have somebody else. That is the essence of elections and periodic elections. I mean, all of us cannot be leaders. It doesn't matter how many tribes
then is inclusivity a caveat?
I mean, that is just a conversation that is short-sighted when you're saying that we want everybody to be inclusive. What are we trying to say? That at the end of the day, if you're coming from a county X and there are 50 tribes in that, everybody has to have a tribal leader. Do you know why we have that challenge? It's because we have always associated leaders to tribes. That is the main reason why we have such challenges in Kenya.
And let me pose that question to Daniel. What then is the problem of associating leaders with tribe?
Yeah, because then our political becomes so ethnocentric, which it's not what we envision in the 2030 vision of politics. It should be an issue-based. But then going back to what you've asked, really matters of inclusivity, and I see the Constitution in its form and letter, the way it's envisioned, that one, the composition of our National Assembly and the Senate itself, should we have strictly followed, 349 constituencies. When people elect members of parliament from those constituencies, their representation should be of a national, or a national outlook. That is what the parliament is and ought to be as we speak. Now, what is our problem as a country? Like you said, and I think people say this is one of the best constitution. I say it is one of the best constitution, but then we've borrowed a lot compared to what we can manage. We are a progressive. Ours should be a progressive democracy. As we go, then we expand. But now already that we've, already elected, nominated a number of people, what is the reason we should nominate 777 members of county assembly? What was the reason? 47 women elected, then plus nominated. So I think matters of inclusivity, it's reflected on our election, on our representation in its form and ladder if we follow the Constitution. Now, if we feel we are overrepresented, the Constitution is very elaborate. There are two ways of representation.
And do you think, before you answer that, do you think we are? Let me just get your thoughts on this.
We are overrepresented. We were discussing about it, but then let's put it into perspective that we having 349 constituencies, how I wish we would have stopped there. Once you're elected, so that instead of us having a wage bill of paying other nominated and you see others any other way, why would we have empowered the 349 to deliver, 67 additional to deliver, period? And I don't know how many times, look at the Punguza Mzigo, their proposal. I tend to think sometimes when we follow their proposal, it could caution us from the ballooning wage bill. But again, the question is, as we progress, could we do away with, can we survive without Senate? Can we survive without the county assemblies? That is the question, the dilemma Kenyans are actually facing. Because then we are faced with a dilemma of doing away with overrepresentation, but at the same time making sure that we do not deal with the essential of violating the Constitution as it is.
Let me put this into perspective.
Fair enough.
And let me tell you the number of people who represent you as an individual. You have an MCA. Under the MCA's office, you have a ward administrator. You have a subcounty
which is a subdivision of the MCA at their office.
You have a member of parliament. You have a women representative. You have a senator, you have a deputy governor, you have a governor.
And if all these people are working for my progress as a Kenyan,
are you happy? No. Are you happy with what they are doing for you?
I doubt.
Remember, the MPs are having an assistance. All these people who taxpayers' money are paying.
And then they work for us.
You're asking a very good question, but I doubt if my opinion on air matters.
The value.
Hold on that thought. I understand we need to cross over to the governor's event. Remember, the governors today are presenting an application protesting the National Assembly's move to reduce the county government's budget. Let's listen into that.
In a schedule in that constitution, if you look at those functions, you realize that the functions given to the counties is where economists say where the rubber touches the ground. Things that matter to the common man and woman. Health, roads, agriculture, which is food and environment, and others. If you don't have food to eat, you cannot be a citizen of Kenya because you will die. If you are sick and you go to the dispensary next door and you are not looked after, you cannot serve as a productive Kenyan citizen and you will die. Therefore, in all democracies where the principle of subsidiarity is implemented and respected,
well, we seem to have a technical problem with the sound of that particular, of course, event. That is Kisumu Governor, Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, is speaking there. We'll get back there when all is sorted. Now, let's get back to this discussion.
I was asking
her. Yes.
If you just walk into the street and in Kibera or even in Kawangware or even in Karen and Muthaiga, and just try to engage the common mwananchi, even a boda rider, and ask them, what is the value that you are getting from all these people? You realize there is no value. If indeed we were getting value from these people, I tell you, Kenya will be very far. The unity these guys have.
And what do you mean when you say we are not getting value from them? And if we were getting value, we will be far. What in particular is that value? More than just the representation?
I'll start with the MCAs. You know their roles: representation, legislation, and oversight. Are we having oversight in counties? We having county assemblies which are in the pocket of some executive members. They don't ask them questions. We have county assembly members who are going to for retreats to learn on how to ban waste materials in India. They're going to, I don't know, Yugoslavia to learn on how to tie shoelaces. I mean, we having county
and
assembly.
is there any problem, just to be a little bit controversial, is there any problem if they go to any country and learn things that may be of impact to their representatives?
When I was in college, I did a comparative study of the US. I didn't travel to the US. We are in a techno world, and I was able to Google and get and collaborate with those other people. But why do we feel the need of us sending people to learn on how to build toilets? I mean, these are issues that are available online. As I went down, we have
maybe as a leaders, when they are there and they see how it is done, they'll implement it better.
Do they come
just
and
maybe?
Do they come and implement? We have a case, as I let it to Dan, of some MCAs from an assembly in Nyanza. They said they are going for bonding in Uganda, and they never went to Uganda. All they did was to get to the border and have their passport stamped, exit, and then back. They came back. They just stayed in that. It's among the questions being raised by the Auditor General. If you see the amount of questions being raised on these travels, it's massive. These guys are spending billions and billions of taxpayers. Those guys go on a tour. Do they come back and report on what they want to do? They never come back and tell us what they want to do. All we see are selfies.
Probably the question, the reflective question will be, are we ready for their own presentations? Of what they are
come on,
let me play the devil's advocate, just to be fair.
For who's
them as well.
Who?
Devil's advocate who did not study advocacy.
Well, let's get back to the issue of the numbers. You seem to be in unison that the numbers are high.
True.
What will then be the ideal way of scrapping these numbers?
Well, I think you've checked on there are proposals that are being made,
yes,
even by
the
Third Way Alliance to scrap up some positions. I also agree with some tenets of that proposal is to, scrap out the unnecessary position. Though the Third Way Alliance has taken a very extreme measures in terms of doing away with the Senate, and I think also the women representatives. And also reducing, the counties and merging them. But here's the question is, I would actually, if I was asked to put, a proposal, one of the things I would actually ask is to avoid the positions of nominations. When you elect your members of parliament, 349, well and good, because that is the boundaries that are within the Constitution. But then how would we strike what you've been calling inclusion? A reflective phase of inclusion is the reflective phase of the National Assembly. When we are able to get good leaders in the National Assembly without corruption, then I think that in itself reflects inclusivity that comes with so much integrity with it. Those things go in tandem. Now, I am interested actually to look at even could we have some of these institutions providing us with databases and information that this is the number of people we've elected, and we have elected them to represent how much have they, done within the floors of the county assembly. What are the bills and proposals that are Wanjiku oriented in the county of Marsabit, like you've said? because the problem we have, Abubakar, is even as we speak of this, impasse that is here this morning, there's another one. The one is that some county government have been held in ransom with the county assembly members simply because they have not really agreed to their terms and policies. And some of this county assembly has not even passed their budgets and agree because there's a sabotage in terms of, agreeing on the traveling plans that you're seeing. If a governor, the tussle we're having in Taveta as we speak,
yes.
In Makueni, that almost, had it
in
not
Taveta,
been
the governor
president-
called for, of course,
the impasse that was there. So the governor has actually seen, let it put in the public so that we dissolve this county assembly and go back to election, which is a dangerous course, by the way, because he himself might not be guaranteed to be elected as a governor again. So that is why I'm saying, why would we have impasse always at the same time? Because this is why I asked you before, where is the voice of the county assembly forum? Because as much as the governors are in the street with the senators, there is a missing voices, that is the county assemblies forum.
Areba, is this
also
missing
represent-
voice, therefore, could it be in unison with the governors that they are demanding more?
Before I come to the county assemblies forum, you asked him about what will his suggestion be.
Yes.
If today I was given an opportunity to redesign the country, I will want the regional blocks which have been formed to take over than the individual counties. We have the Lake Region Economic Bloc, we have the Jumuiya ya County, we have the Northern Frontiers, we have the North Rift Economic Bloc. If these regional bodies then sat together so that they can reduce some of these people who are representing, so that one regional body can have one governor. Like the Lake Region Economic Bloc. Do you know why I'm saying so? These are counties which share borders and they share similar challenges. These are counties which have similar opportunities. These are counties which have similar... If you do the SWOT analysis, you can see that they're trying to move as a block. So if we can entrench more on the regional blocks, so that we're having one person who's managing like 4 or 5 counties as they are right now into one block. That will be a very big suggestion.
That means scrapping off the governor's role, the governor's position, having one person in charge of the economic
Of
bloc?
course, we'll still retain somebody like the governor and his executives, but their area of reach will be bigger than what we are having right now. We are having very tiny counties right now, which are having all of these sirens and everything, and elaborate executives, and I have nothing wrong with the
You
sirens.
seem to be having an issue with the flashy lifestyle.
Do you know why I have a problem with the flashy lifestyle? That lifestyle you're living is courtesy of the people who elected you.
Could it be that someone is naturally rich, that they're making money out of their own businesses to lead such a flashy
save
lifestyle?
us that, save us that for once. I mean, we know that these trappings of power come with the position they're holding. I don't have a problem with somebody having his own money. But when he's in that position, he's in that position because he's been sent there by the poor citizens who he's governing. So when you're living that flashy lifestyle and demonstrating in Nairobi with bodyguards behind you, think about the common mwananchi you have left back at home. So I don't have a problem with anybody living flashy. I have a problem with somebody living flashy and forgetting their mandate. The County Assemblies Forum. We have a certain crop of very clueless members of county assemblies. And I can say that authoritatively on air. In that, you see, we're coming from a system where we thought that for you to be a member of county assembly, then you had to be very rowdy, you had to know how to throw punches in the air, you had to know how to firifiri kwa masho.
They replaced the former councillors.
The former councillors. That is a very, very indisciplined nature of people. And when we transitioned, we didn't think that we needed brains at the county assemblies. I am not saying that we don't have brains, but the number of brains that we have in these county assemblies.
Would you understand that that kind of a brain is reflexive of the electorate? Let us agree on the fact that, you see, this is who we are as a country, because then why would we always be presented with an opportunity to clean out our political system each and every for 5 years, do the same mistake, cry foul after this? So I think to some extent I would agree, but then working in your proposal, like working with the regional box, that again calls for a change of the constitution.
Yes.
That again calls for a referendum or even amendment within the National Assembly. The other twist that I wanted to give is I have seen a number of governors, including the Taveta governor, seeking for a solemn, decision and consultation from the Right Honorable Prime Minister. And this impasse that we are having this morning, before it goes to the Court of Justice, I think, again, I'm coming back to the structures and the leadership. The Deputy President had called for a dialogue. And it said if it goes to the court, then it could deepen, the crisis that is already there. Unfortunately or fortunately, it has reached the corridors of justice. I think one of the things that judiciary needs to do, as always, and is to listen amicably to this case, and like Areba said, seek for an interpretation that is able to champion for the interest of the counties, but at the same time maintaining the dignity of our representatives. I think that would be a win-win situation. But I'm asking these governors to go back and sort out what is in their counties, because this is much hypocritical. Seeking for a solemn decision about matters of overall the county, but their county is at a mess. Yeah. And this is why I'm saying, even before Governor Anyang' Nyong'o, I've just seen him talking so nicely there, but then Kisumu is in a mess. The county assembly is withholding the passage of the budget. So I think let's not double speak, but even champion for these things and be reflexive of what you are, on what the Constitution says about you. Champion for matters that respect your office and your dignity, both at the national government and the county government.
Can I tell you why Samboja is fed up? It gets to a point and you're like, I can't do this anymore. Because these guys, I mean, they're thinking that if they pass this budget, then you're going to gain, or the executive is going to gain more than the people. And Samboja is at that point where Kivuza Kibwana was, and he said, I mean, I don't care anymore. Mine is, I'm trying to work for the people. These councillors and the members of county assemblies we don't think that we're in the same stream of working for the people. So what happens is, let everybody go home and let's try. I mean, I know in his mind right now, he might not even want to stand for election again, because it might not be as rosy as it looks like, because the county assembly is holding him hostage, and that is not supposed to be the case.
Let's get to the question, and this is a matter that has been raised widely: the duplication of roles between the two houses. Given that we see them debate and say this is our issue, yet we have a constitutional stipulation, and this is where I will need your advice on, Areba. Given that there is a constitutional guide, and each house is claiming that this is under them, this is under them, where is the genesis of this confusion?
I'm trying to get on the Constitution, particularly on what it provides for. But then again, what I'm saying is that if indeed they could have followed what the Constitution says and performed their roles as per laid down the law, we wouldn't be having these disputes. We know overall we have the issue of legislation, oversight, and the representation and legislation and oversight. But then there is a thin line where these two houses are supposed to each conduct their business. The main contention that comes in most instances are bills that have an anchor to the county government. And that is why the Senate feels that we are the guys who are in charge, we are the gatekeepers of devolution. So nothing should be passed that has an anchor on the counties without us being involved. But then the mischief that is then again there is that it's not about duplication. It's about the two houses not working as per the law and not being in synergy and having their selfish interests first. Let me tell you why. Every committee would rather summon a CS and earn their sitting allowance separately. They wouldn't want to join other committees. In how many times do we see these reports coming up and action being taken on those reports? Every day, I can assure you, Abubakar, there's a committee sitting. Every day, there's a member of parliament from a certain committee outside the country trying to learn something new. I know of a member of parliament from the welfare committee who went to learn on how good food is cooked from another country. I mean, is it about the people anymore? It's because of selfish interest. If these MPs within their collective house had interests of the 190, what will be wrong in the senators and the members of the National Assembly, those two committees sitting together and trying to get a solution?
And can the Mwananchi demand that these houses get together, get their affairs in order, and represent oversight on matters that are of interest?
Sometimes these issues are not laid down on paper, but these are issues that are supposed to be of common interest. And if indeed they want to bring them together, they can be able to bring them together. That is why I had the CS Matiang'i asking, I mean, you are called every day, you have a date with a committee, a different committee.
When will I work? That's the question specifically.
Why can these committees sit together? They demand those answers at the same time and generate a report. Why I have a problem with them, Abubakar, is they generate reports, but where do those reports end? Tell me one committee report that you have seen to fruition and saying, after we sat in Mombasa for 3 weeks and came up with this report, this is how we're implementing it, and this is the solution that we have.
And if these reports are touching on national issues, matters of interest to every Kenyan, shouldn't they in the first place be made public? Let me ask that.
Well, of course, the public, there's a public access to public act that gives the citizens a right to demand for these
But should we get to demanding?
Why wouldn't? Because sometimes, of course, the political class are not going to provide this information to the citizens for the matters that we know. I want to give you an example. When the president...
Shouldn't they, under the caveat of being our leaders, make this public?
They should.
Of course, ideally, this is what we expect. But realistically, they are not going. It's not happening. This is what we expect. But then, President had a media. I think it was 31st of December last year, when he talked to the media about
the media roundtable last year.
And I think he was asked to provide for information that concerns I think his standard gauge railway and all these agreements.
Yes, and that
but
was
then he
by
promised.
my colleague from another
yes,
station.
right now, he promised to provide these if it's needed, right? Nobody has seen this document. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say here that we have a citizenry that is so belligerent. Things have happened a lot, and the citizens are so confused on what to ask, but then they have a right to get this information. Abu Bakr, public participation is in the Article 10 of our Constitution. Yes. It's one of the values that we should be embracing as a citizens, failure to which, as a country, we are going to give a political class an opportunity to lead us to where we ought not to be led by this country.
Daniel, hold on that thought. I understand we need to take another short break here on New Week. Remember, you can be part of the conversation. The social media platforms will be scrolling down on your screen. We'll be back after this break.
Twende sasa.
Nipe countdown. 2, 1.
Nakuletea matangazo moja kwa moja kutoka kongamano la 6 la ugatuzi hapa Kirinyaga County.
Hapa ni mjini Meru.
Tupo katika eneo la Wetevye, kaunti ya Kiambu.
Hivi leo tuko Nairobi Cinema.
Hapa ni Kina, ukipenda Kinango.
Usiwache hiyo timu ipotee. Kama huyu amekataa, tafuta mwingine, maisha isonge mbele.
Mabadiliko haya yangali yanazua msuke baina ya washikadau.
Baadhi ya changamoto hizo zilikuwa ni kama vile ukosefu wa maarifa.
Wameweza kupeperusha bendera ya Kenya.
Tutaingia kwenye mapumziko kidogo.
Safi!
Na hii, mpenzi mtazamaji, ndio
TV47,
macho na sauti yetu.
Welcome back. Remember, you are watching New Week with me, Abu Bakr Abdullahi. The conversation in the studio, of course, revolves around the houses that are at loggerheads in reference to the National Assembly and the Senate. But before we get to this conversation again, I understand we need to cross over to our reporter Kawera wa Kithinji, who is covering a story on taxi drivers' strike. Remember, the drivers are demanding for a better working condition. Kawera, if you can hear me, have they already presented their demands apart from the demand for a better working condition? Kawera, if you can hear me, I'm asking if apart from the demand for a better working condition, have they presented any other demand as far as their strikes and the genesis of it is concerned?
Noise here, the crowd is getting larger and their complaints are still the same as before, because this is not the first time, as I had mentioned, that the online taxi platforms are going on strike. Remember, the main issue is that the mother companies are overseas. For example, we have Uber mother company being in San Francisco and Mondo Ride being based in Dubai. Therefore, their concerns are being addressed at a national level with the county government and the Ministry of Interior, because NTSA was recently rescheduled, or rather repositioned, to the Ministry of Interior. Now, car owners, apart from drivers, because we've had the complaints of drivers being that they are getting lesser and lesser amount of money as the days go by. Now, car owners are also into the equation, and I want to speak to one of them and tell us how the burden of the drivers and the platform falls on them as well. So, karibu sana.
Asante.
Now, tell us, what are your grievances as a car owner and not a driver?
First, my name is Charles Mutoka. I'm the Secretary General of DPS. DPS is a body of car owners, people who have invested in cars and given to drivers to do the business of online taxis. The grievances here are we as investors, we have heavily invested in this industry. Currently, this industry stands at around 20 billion shillings. At 20 billion shillings, we are stakeholders in the transport industry. And last year, drivers had a demonstration that they went to see the ministry. At the ministry, there's a memorandum of understanding that was signed. Up to date, that memorandum has not been implemented. And the reasons why it has not been implemented, we don't know. And you see, drivers are our representatives of the app companies. We, as investors, we just give drivers the vehicles, and when they go online, they bring whatever they have gotten to us.
So what are those implementations?
The implementation is, when Uber started in this country particularly, it was paying 60 shillings per kilometer. And right now, as we are speaking today, they are paying 16 shillings per kilometer. You can see the difference. When VAT on importation of vehicles is going high, when fuel prices are going high, the commission, or rather the payment we are given, it's going low. Life standards are increasing, yet our investment returns from our investments are going down. Why? Because we are missing something in between. And this thing that is missing is a regulatory body. This regulatory body can only be brought in by the government. We petitioned the government last year. We even sent our petition to the parliament. The outcome has not been known up to today. You look at the inflation rate and how life is currently. We as car owners, we are expecting to get something better from our vehicles. The app companies don't have any contract with us. They don't have any commitment with the drivers. If a driver happens to get an accident, it is my obligation as the car owner. Insurance covers, it is all of my obligations. Yet, they have been given the mandate to set prices for us. Then our question is, why? At any given time when prices are being set, we are stakeholders, we need to be involved.
Okay, thank you.
right, Abubakar, back to you in studio. You can see it's quite an agitated lot here. And if or not they seek the audience of the Sonko, who is the county governor of Nairobi County, well, that's a guess as good as mine. Abubakar.
Well, Kawera, before I let you go, let me ask you one last question. I see a sea of humanity humming around you. Of course, cars stop there. I'm wondering what the transport is like on that road. However, if you can hear me, I can see a lot of cars parked on the road. I'm wondering how transport is like on that particular road where you are.
Well, the roads are quite open. I don't see any blockage as per now, but I hear a larger group is on its way, meaning there might be a little bit of traffic caused on this road, and the services of the online taxis are at a standstill as per now. So if or not the situation improves, we'll get to know that with time.
Thank you. That is our reporter, Kawera Makivinji, who is covering the protest, of course, and the strike by taxi drivers. She'll keep us up to date in our subsequent bulletins and brief us on what's happening there. Now let's continue with the discussion we had in the studio. Just a reminder of who my guests are. Daniel Orogo, who is to my immediate left, a political analyst. Areba Umweo, an analyst as well as a lawyer. Areba, we had been speaking for the last 1 hour, if not more, and you made reference to the Constitution time and again.
Yes.
Given that it is the lawyers like you, learned friends who know the Constitution, and few political elite who interpret to the audiences many at times what the Constitution says, shouldn't there be a worry that the Constitution is not as available to the common mwananchi as it is, not just physically, but the knowledge and the interpretation of it?
Actually, that is one of the biggest worries in this country, in that the common man, the common mwananchi out there, does not even know that he is supreme under the Constitution, and does not know that if you go to the preamble of the Constitution and Article 1, 2, you find there's a reference to we the people, in that we the people are supreme, and whatever that these leaders or everybody is supposed to do is the wishes of the people as held in the Constitution. So I find a lot of loopholes, and I find a lot of things going wrong because the people do not understand what the law says. And you see, for the elite class and the politicians and the people who support them, they don't want mwananchi to know that. Because the moment they know that mwananchi knows that, then it will be hard for them. That is why issues like the recall clauses, it's very hard to recall somebody, because it was made there deliberately. Since some of these politicians know that if it becomes easy to recall these people, then it can trigger for them to be recalled back anytime. So politicians use the law selectively. When it does not favor them, they'll not want Wanjiku to know. When it favors them, then they will hold it high and say, hey, the law is very clear, and this is what the law says.
Daniel is smiling.
I think what Areba said so far, I always take a different contradiction. One, when you look at the roles of the Senate and the roles of County Assembly, there are very striking element to it. The word is representation, and this is what we've been talking about here. As to why and when and how they should represent, there is an equally striking, that is, you represent. But then the question is, do we get back the value of the representation? And I like what he said, the value. When you, for example, elect a member of County Assembly to deliver, do you really get what really somebody needs to be delivered? What is in that you get the value of a person you elected? So that's why
Should the citizenry then push, demand for a value, if at all it's not there, as you say?
But then, he said something very important. We are very quick in, saying what the law says, but then we are not really always fast-tracking the law. Who interprets the law for us? Is the lawyers and political elitists. And then if the undoing of Kenyans is the fact that once yule jamaa amesoma,
we don't have
kama Professor Nyang'nyong'o, kama any professor, ashasoma kasema ni sawa, why would I even bother reading it? So you realize that then there is the issue about trying to bend the law and misleading the public. I wish that we begin to focus on public participation the way it is envisioned, where the citizens have the opportunity to present their issues to the elected leaders, but then not only presenting and forgetting, also trying to get a feedback on how far were their issues put in place and if they are placed in these documents. As we speak, there are even county members of county assembly who do not know even what CIDP is.
Exactly.
They actually do not know these documents. But lastly, as I say, there's a recall clause that we should act as the citizens. If a leader is not performing, I have never seen in this country where any leader was recalled. But if there will be any case scenario of a leader who's been recalled constitutionally, then I think there will be a genesis of leaders learning that indeed citizens can take an action.
But is that indicative of a crafty law, a crafty constitution, that it is few who understand, who swindle it to their favor?
It's not about the law. It's about the people then who are supposed to ensure that other people understand this law. He talked very well about the issue of representation, oversight, and legislation. But then this is where everything is drawn from in terms of our leaders. The main issue of representation, in that my views, his views, the Mama Boga's views, the mechanics' views in Kibera, these are the views that our leaders are supposed to take to the houses in parliament. But do they do that? They don't. So they have failed in that representation. And we, the people, have failed because we don't understand. I mean, sometimes you go to the villages and ask, why do you prefer so-and-so as the next governor? Hayu mtu ni mzuri tu, mimi nampenda. I mean, people are not looking at issues. You ask, even in Nairobi, you ask people, why did you elect your MCA? Oh, huyo anatoka chama yangu. That comes from my party. That comes, I mean, the party leader said ni huyo pekee. I mean, we don't look at the real issues that they are in the law. And as you said earlier, and as Daniel has alluded, is that for those who know the law, and those who understand what it says, they take advantage and they don't want anybody else to know. Because the moment the citizenry open their eyes, the politicians are not going to get it smooth. So they don't want the citizens to open their eyes.
Hold on that thought, Areba. Of course, I'll give you, Daniel, as well, a chance to respond to that. I understand the Taxi Drivers Association and owners are addressing the media. Let's listen into their demands.
Lazima tuanze kwa maombi na tusinyanyase mtu wetu kwa barabara, sawa? Solidarity baada ya maombi. Solidarity baada ya maombi, sawa? Ningeomba tutoe kofia tuheshimu Mungu. Tutoe kofia tuheshimu Mungu, tutoe kofia tuombe. Hata wimbo ya taifa unaweza anza nayo. Wacha tu tuombe alafu tuanze na wimbo wa taifa alafu tutaendelea, sawa sawa? Sawa sawa. Nashukuru sana. Wacha tuamini na tuombe. Baba, tunashukuru kwa wakati mwema mtakatifu. Tunaomba Mungu mkuu siku ya leo, unaielewa vyema Mungu mkuu, tuomba ukatusamee maovu yetu ambayo tumetenda kwa kujua hata bila kujua. Tunaomba kuongozwa nawe katika kila jambo Mungu mkuu. Umeona vile tumeteseka katika nchi yetu mtakatifu ya takatifu. Tunaomba Yesu, ni wewe mwenye kusikia kilio chetu mtakatifu. Ni wewe tunakimbilia, ni wewe kimbilio letu la mwisho Jehova. Hatuna mwingine kama wewe Mungu mkuu Shemelele Jehova. Tunaomba ukatuongoze katika maandamano yetu siku ya leo mtakatifu. Usikie kilio chetu Mungu Shemelele Jehova mtakatifu wa takatifu. Naomba Yesu katika kila jambo ukatulinde. Kila mmoja Mungu wangu kamlinde. Katika kazi zetu ukatulinde mtakatifu. Tunakuja kinyume na kila njama zote za mwovu shetani. Tunaomba ulinzi wako na neema yako mtakatifu wa takatifu. Kwa uwezo wa jina la Yesu Kristo Mungu tunaomba na kuamini. National anthem.
Of course, we will continue covering that story for you. I understand I have a few minutes to pack and go. Up next will be Kirobi with Matukio Nyanjani. But before I do that, let me give my guests a final thought. Given that we are already in this crisis, as it seems, how do we get out of it? Daniel, let me start with you.
Well, I think first of all is I think I applaud the process that is going on. The court processes in seeking for interpretation to understand why we are here. And that's why I say the Supreme Court in its wisdom would actually rule on what would advise on the way forward on this matter. Secondly, I think it's important for us to have institutional dialogue, and that is the Council of Governors can actually speak in one voice with the senators and county assemblies forum to try to also sort out this issue. But a long-lasting solution is the fact that we actually need to go back and review our laws, live to the Constitution in the spirit of the latter, follow what is envisioned there, to avoid this supremacy battle. And it's good for the House committees and the House leadership to always whip their members to avoid contradicting what is judicial and what is constitutional.
Fair enough, Daniel. Let me give Areba the last chance to speak.
We need to get out of this crisis. That is for sure, because we need services to be rendered to the people, and we need money down to the villages. First of all, we need political goodwill from these guys. They need to turn their egos down and talk to each other, not talk against each other. I mean, these are some issues sometimes, if they hold meetings, they will be solved within a few minutes. But since we have these egos and everybody trying to prove who's stronger than the other, who's mightier than the other, who can move mountains and who can divert rivers, that is why we are having these challenges. So these leaders need to turn their egos and have goodwill and know that at the end of the day, it's about the people, it's not about them.
Thank you. Areba Omoyo, a lawyer by profession, political analyst as well. Daniel Orogo, thank you for making time for us, gentlemen, this morning. Thank you for the insights. Well, that brings us to the end of today's edition of New Week. I am Abubakar Abdullahi. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. But up next is Paul Kirobi with Matukio Nyanjani. Stay tuned and enjoy the rest of your viewership.